Okay, just setting up here. Okay, while we're waiting, I'd love to know where you're from. So where are you from? I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. Where are you from? Just waiting for people to turn up. So just killing time, waiting for people to turn up. Okay, I'm on YouTube. By the way, Texas. Hi, Megan. It's on YouTube. I'm always on YouTube. Whenever I'm doing a live, I'm always saving them on YouTube. And then I bounce from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok. Wisconsin. Hi, Brianna. So where are you from? Sydney, Australia. That's where my son was born. And my daughter was born in Brisbane. That's where I raised my kids in Australia. Okay. So I've got the window open. I live on a busy street. I don't know if you're going to hear the noise, but okay. Probably can't hear that. Someone's got his car radio going there. Okay, I'll just get going here. If you're new, my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go to BratBusters.com, you can see my free behavior board, my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for 3 to 12-year-olds. And also you can look into coaching. And what else do I do? Oh yeah, the podcast. My daughter and I do that together. And it's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. We filmed a couple of podcasts. We do 2 a week. And we filmed a couple today. We had a really good giggle over. Sometimes people are new and they come in and they make comments. And she was reading out some of the comments from online. And one of them was, "Oh, I'll bet $20 that she doesn't speak to her children." My daughter and I do that podcast together. We thought that was pretty funny. So she goes, "Well, I'll give you the information. You can do an e-transfer." But anyway, so yeah, we have a lot of fun. We do the podcast together and because we work together. Hello, Julianne, Brisbane, Australia. That's where my daughter was born. I raised my kids in Brisbane, mostly, Australia. Okay. Do you only coach clients who live in your local area? All my coaching is done online. Could you imagine how crazy it would be if it was all in person? Yeah, no, all my coaching is done online. I don't think I've had anyone from Vancouver. Geez, a long time. But yeah, most of my clients are overseas or in America. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. So yeah, all coaching is done online. Okay, and we just opened up. I think it's open now. We had coaching was closed down for a couple months there. I just was too busy. But yeah, we just opened it up. I think today, can't remember. My daughter does all that. Yep, coaching's open now. So anyway, okay, so let's get going with your questions. My daughter, this is from Rebecca Christie on YouTube. She goes, "My daughter is a month away from being 3. She screams, 'No, go away,' at other kids when she doesn't want them to go near her or when she wants to protect her toys." Are they her toys? So she screams, "No, go away." I don't know where she is. Is she at home? Is she protecting her toys or just any toys? Kind of hard to answer because of that. Let's just say, I don't know. Let's just say they are her toys and you're at home and you have a play date or something. I would say, no, I said other kids get to play with your toys too. And then just hand the toys over to someone else. If it's a play date and the other kids are supposed to play with their toys. But yeah, I don't quite know where she is. That's the problem. And if they are her toys. Just a sec. Okay, sorry, I'm just reading a comment from my daughter. Oh, that's so cute. Okay. doing a live now. The only reason I answer the text from my daughter whenever I'm doing a live, she might be watching it and commenting on something. Anyway, Arizona. Hi, Dawn. Logan from Brisbane. Okay. Logan, Brisbane, Australia. So you're from Logan? And you're, okay. How to teach 10-year-old and 7-year-old respect to each other so they don't get along. I don't know. Generally, if you're a leader, they tend to treat everyone else with respect too. So maybe work on your leadership skills. It's very unusual that if you're a leader, that the kids are going to fight. So work on your leadership skills. Everything starts with you. It just does. And they're still young, 10 and 7 years old. Yeah, work on your leadership skills. I don't know if they're fighting or just not getting along. That comes up in coaching sometimes. Like people will say, how do I make my kids friends? You can't force a friendship with your children. Siblings usually end up loving each other, but they don't always have much in common. They don't always sort of connect as friends. And that's okay, but you don't want them to fight. So yeah. And also you can't put down no fighting on the behavior board because you don't know who's starting it. You have to figure it out. You have to go after the one who causes it, not the one who retaliates so much. It's the one who starts it. Brianna Arneson, husband is insisting we say, are you done? And wait for a response from our child. He thinks this is what you show as an example on your podcast. Isn't this discussing the tantrum? 5 and 3-year-old things. Oh, yeah. Okay. So let's say a child's having a tantrum. I'm not discussing the tantrum. So when they've calmed down, I say, you go, oh, you all done? Do you want to go read a book? I'm not discussing the tantrum. I'm just clarifying that. I'm kind of letting them know now that you're done. Now I'm going to talk to you. I'm not discussing a tantrum. I never discuss a tantrum. So I think that's what your husband's referring to. Yeah. Oh, you all done? Do you want to go to the park? So in other words, now that you're all done, now I'm talking to you. You see? After a tantrum, you want to connect. You ignore the crazy and reward the calm. A tantrum is not bad behavior. A tantrum is a loss of emotional control, not getting their own way. Advice on a 3.5-year-old runner. 3.5, I would say no running away on the behavior board. And if they do, there's a consequence. So I'm just looking at the sun. I might have to get up and close some blinds here. I'm going to try and troop through with the sun hitting me in the face. We'll see how I go. Okay. Okay. This is Annalie Torres. My 6-year-old plays soccer on a team, and I can tell he's a little more aggressive than others. Should pull him out of the practice or let the coach handle it? Oh, let the coach handle it. Yeah, let the coach handle it. But if the coach, if you're really concerned, you might say to the coach, do you want me to talk to him at home about how aggressive he is? Because coaches are good at coaching, but they're not always good at parenting, kind of leading a kid. You know what I'm saying? You might know soccer, but he might not be as good at handling the behavior, depending on how experienced he is with kids and that. So yeah, you might want to ask him if you are concerned. Do you want me to deal with that rough housing or how rough he is at home? So ask the coach. Help him out. He might say, no, it's okay. I got it. Hi, Sharon from North Carolina. How do I start being a leader to my 9 and 10-year-old? Check out my free behavior board. That's where I would start. That's sort of the training wheels with all that. It's completely free on my website, BratBusters.com. So yeah, that is the training wheels with all this stuff. I would never use a behavior board. It's just a teaching tool. It teaches you how to get a plan of action, get organized, make it visual, get the kids going with this too, because it's visual. And so yeah, that's where I suggest you go. It's just about, yeah, Tabitha, I'm running late. I am trying to do one every day. I couldn't do one yesterday. I'm trying to do a live every day again. But yeah, I'm late. And as you know, if anyone knows me, I'm no good at night. so I'm always a little bit sleepy at night. I'm usually in bed by 9. Not always. If I've got something planned, I might be up a bit later, but kind of useless at night. Okay. I'm a morning person. Okay, this is from Brianna again. Could you give some examples of how to meet needs while the kids are having a tantrum, especially if you can tell they're having a tantrum because of the need? Oh, so if they're having a tantrum because they're hungry, you can just say, okay, come on, let's eat. They might still continue to have the tantrum, but you put the food on offer. But if they have to if they're having a tantrum because they're overly tired, just put them in bed. Let them scream it out. Let them cry in bed. That's okay. Oh my, the sun's hitting me bad. Should I get up? Just a sec. I might go close some blinds. Let's see. I can't close blinds because I moved a plant over by the window, and it's a big plant with big leaves, and I got all the blinds cords all caught up in the leaves, so I can't even do that. Anyway, we'll just struggle through with the sun hitting me in the face. Did I answer your question? Oh yeah, how to meet needs. Yeah, if they're tired, just put them to bed. Yeah. Sometimes they're just going to have to cry it out. Everyone's trying to avoid the scene. The scene is the lesson. The scene is something you're going to have to go through sometimes. I mean, you can't always avoid a scene. I know you want to, but that's not what we're all about here. It's about allowing them to be upset, allowing them to be angry, meet their needs. If you got to put them in bed, put them in bed. But sometimes they're just going to cry themselves to sleep if they're overly tired, especially. So. I love your videos. Can you please give me tips on how to help 4-year-old boy stop having accidents, because I feel he purposely does it because he knows it makes me mad, as well as nighttime. I don't quite know the nighttime thing. Anyway, I don't know what you mean by that. But yeah, if if it makes you mad, that's why he's doing it. So don't get mad when he does it. Just say, oh, there's an accident. But so he's having accidents. Which one are they? Number 1 or number 2? I don't know. You never get a kid to clean up after themselves, by the way. These are bodily functions. You never want to shame a child around a bodily function. If you know he's doing it purposefully, I would sort of treat it the same. Say, oh, well, it's just a mistake. We'll fix that up or whatever. So yeah, I can't go into that in great detail because I don't quite know what he's doing. I don't know if he's really doing it to make you mad, and where are the accidents happening? Are they number 1 or number 2? Stuff like that. What if this is Angelina Smith on YouTube. What if your toddler laughs or says no when you tell them to do something or discipline them? They're usually laughing. It's more of a challenge. It's not usually real laughter. It's more a little bit of a challenge. So yeah, I would just ignore it. But if you tell them to do something or you have to go out, you just pick them up and make it happen anyway. Like if you say, okay, we're going now, and they just laugh at you and start to run away, pick them up, cart them under your arm and put them in the car and strap them in. Make it happen. There's a lot more people asking questions on YouTube than usual. YouTube's my smallest platform. So I was just reading YouTube, so that's why I'm saying that. Okay, how do you approach inappropriate text messages being sent by a 13-year-old? I don't know what you mean by inappropriate, but I would say, look, you're sending inappropriate text messages. There's got to be some consequence for that. There's got to be some discussion around that too. Is it about violence, like violent games, or is it around, with girls kind of stuff? So yeah, I would just say, look, it's inappropriate. There's going to be a consequence for that. You can just take his phone away for the weekend, or maybe say, I'll tell you what, because of that, from now on, we're going to keep your phone, for like as soon as you get home from school, because usually you need their phone to get a hold of them at school if you need to. So say when you get home, you're going to hand over your phone for the next 2 nights because of that. And just make it matter of fact. Don't do the big lecture though. And who's he texting? What's it about? I kind of, could be other things that I would do also. Oh, it's about girls. Or was that someone else commenting? No, that was Amber. Okay, about girls. Yeah, inappropriate. Yeah. You don't want to shame him around that topic either. So yeah, you know what you could say? You could say, I'll tell you what, when you put anything online or in a text, anyone could see it eventually. There's always a way to tap into all that information. So, and you don't want them talking like that anyway, but that's what I would say. You never know. Someone could see it. Even your grandparents could see that one day. So never type anything that you don't want your grandparents to hear. So that might prevent the texting, because often they feel that they can text or they can message online somehow, some other way, and it could become public one day. They can say that. Also, talk to him about how to treat girls and how to talk to them. Yeah, you want to have those discussions. Be really open about it. I talk to my kids about everything growing up, age appropriate. And yeah, you don't want them sort of being rude like that. I don't feel like I gave you very much information, but I'm trying to be careful here because I'll get shut down if I say certain words online here. I have to keep it sort of appropriate. Oops, there's a really long comment from Emily. I'm trying to get through it. It's about ignoring tantrums. Just a sec here. Okay, I can't answer that because you didn't put an age. I'll look through the whole thing. I didn't see an age. Okay. Can you come hang out with my toddler for a week? No. Plus, I've been offered a while ago. I was offered an unreal amount of money from overseas to live with them for a month, just to fix their kids. And I said, no. Well, I wouldn't do it anyway. But I said, no. What happens when I leave? So yeah, it's easy for me to get respect, but I teach you how to do it. And by the way, if you've got a toddler, everything's sort of building on tomorrow. Toddlers they're not going to learn anything right away. They take time. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. So when you're trying to change a toddler's behavior, it's investing in tomorrow because they learn through repetition. Okay, so these are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, you set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3, when you want to connect with a toddler, because I really teach connection more than anything. If you want to connect with a toddler, you do so in their world. Their world is not about going to the hair salon, stuff like that. It's about going to the park and rolling down the hill. So you connect in their world, not your world. They look at you differently. Number 4, when you want to discipline a toddler, you do so in their world. They're about consistent corrective actions. They're not about words. They're about actions. Everyone wants to have these mini therapy sessions with their toddlers. I know that someone out there is teaching them, I guess, to do this, but it's ridiculous. That is not their world. That's not their language. Actions are their language. You use consistent corrective actions to discipline a toddler. A toddler to me is 16 to 35 months. Okay. And number 5, stop trying to figure them out. They don't make sense yet. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're just forming. They only have one marble and some tumbleweed floating around up there. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years and the first year you were a potato laying on a mattress. They're brand new. Don't try and figure them out. They're cute as a button, but they're all feet, no brains. Okay, you're not going to like my answer, but I'm going to have to answer it. This is Ashley Burrell on Facebook. What would you recommend to do? My toddler won't do things the first time we ask, like pick up toys. Okay, and then it goes on. She's 22 months old. I don't talk like that with a toddler. I don't tell them to pick up toys. I use the as soon as method with a toddler. This is what I did with my kids. I would say, we're going to go to the park as soon as you put your toys away. And then as soon as we put your toys away even, and then I would help her do it and slow down, let her help you. And so you have some incentive, some reason why she would want to pick up toys. You don't want obedient little soldiers here. You want kids who are self-disciplined, but at 22 months old, she's too little to just be doing that. I would help her do it. And I would make it sound like, as soon as you've done that, as soon as you've done your homework, then you can watch TV as they get older. Stuff like that. Use the as soon as method. My kids got to the point where they wouldn't even ask for anything until they'd done what they knew needed to be done. So like if they wanted a snack or something and they just left a mess, they would clean up the mess before they even asked for a snack, because they knew I would have said, sure, you can have a snack as soon as you put that away. Not everything had to be put away, but if it was something that I wanted to get put away, that's what I would do. I'd wait till they wanted something, and then I'd say, sure, you can have a snack as soon as you've done that. And when they're really little, like 22 months old, I'd be helping them. Okay. This is Renee on YouTube. If my 13-year-old is in trouble at school, disrespectful towards a teacher, and receives detention, should I follow up with a consequence at home? Want to encourage respect towards teachers. If they respect you as a leader, they will not do that to a teacher. Work on your relationship with your child, with your teenager. Work on your relationship, which will, there's no way that they would talk to another adult like that if they respected you. If they saw you as a leader, they would not talk to the teacher like that. So work on your relationship. That is your only power with teenagers, especially, is your relationship with them. That's all you got, right? So yeah, I wouldn't do anything at home, depending. I don't know the situation. I might, but I don't know your situation. So, but yeah, I'd work on my relationship with my teenager first. How do I get my 2-year-old to keep her diaper on? She loves just taking it off all the time. I don't know. My kids didn't do that, but I've looked after a kid who did once. And I can remember putting them in a straitjacket kind of thing. It wasn't a straitjacket, it was overalls that they couldn't get out of. And I think we put them on backwards, the parents said. It was babysitting, I think. And we literally just put the overalls on backwards and they couldn't get out of them. So they'll get bored with doing it after a while. They just try stuff for a while. But yeah, that's, I think, what we did. So we just sort of put them in clothes that they couldn't get out of. Sorry, I gotta straighten myself out here. Oh, yeah. Getting hot. Okay. Going through the storm is worth it. Good point, Emily. I always say you got to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. Everyone wants the rainbow with their kids. You got to go through the storm first. You're going to upset the apple cart. You're going to be changing things. They're going to get worse before they get better. When they realize that you're trying to take charge and be a leader, they often get worse. That's part of it. That's just part of this. I have no fear of that. I know that each tantrum, each scene is a lesson. So it's like that 8-year-old kid that I first started working with. And I said, oh, hi, my name's Lisa and we want to get to work. He was 8 years old and he says, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And I said, bring it on. And he never did. So yeah, I have no fear of that. No fear of a fit, no fear of a tantrum. And it comes across. He never had a fit, nothing. You could just see his mind turning. I could see it. He was like, oh, she knows what she's doing. He didn't have a fit. He was great with me. You got to earn that respect, though. I've been doing this for so long. I've already got the body language, the tone of voice. That like he could tell I had no fear of that fit. None. If you're afraid of your kids, they're in charge. Yeah, I was quite happy to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. I didn't have to. I got the rainbow right away with that kid. My 12-year-old wants to spend every penny he gets. How can I encourage him to save? Okay, you can do this or not. I think I've got lots of videos on this. If you just look up BratBusters allowance, just Google it, BratBusters allowance. I'm sure I got lots of videos on how to do allowance. Basically what I did was I did mom's banking with my kids. I had 2 kids and I had this book and it was a treble cash journal. So it had date description and then debit credit balance. So plus minus equals. And they were not given their money. I had all their money in here, but I never actually put it in the bank. I would just write down their allowance. So it was never cash. So I had to pay out thousands of dollars when they were teenagers. Anyway, I never put this money aside. Stupid me. Anyway, so then I was sort of in charge on how they spent their money. But at 12 years old, I would probably put them on a spending allowance. And I would say, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you a certain amount each week, especially the only way I ever gave my kids money was when they were old enough to hang out with friends. Okay, like at the mall or whatever. That's when I would hand over spending money. But I was in charge of their money because I was a savings thing, sort of. And we discussed everything. We discussed finances. I did give them allowance every week. I don't pay for chores. You live here, you contribute. Allowance is completely separate. And I would pay 10% interest on every $100. So when they got to 1,000, they got $100 interest, which bounced them up to 1,100. So then I gave them $10 on the 1,100. So I went back to 10% on each 100 after the thousands. You get what I mean? And I only paid interest on the same amount once. So if they did want to spend a big amount of money, like on a new PlayStation game or something, then we would discuss how many months it would take them to get more interest. And they got obsessed with getting interest. Anyway, check it out online if you want to do that. Totally up to you. A lot of my clients do that and they say it works really well. So you're sort of in charge of it in a way. It is his money. He'll get it all paid out. When my kids turned 15, they had to go out and get a part-time job. And And I was praying to God they'd have to clean a public toilet at least once. And they both, it wasn't their job, but they both did. And I went, yippee, I want my kids to learn how to work hard, do the dirty work. And they're both really good workers. So anyway, so yeah, I would maybe look into that, the videos on allowance, although I just kind of explained it anyway. You want to be in charge. You want to teach them how to respect money. And you do that by withholding it. Okay, I got to move over to Instagram now if you want to join me over there. And I'm on YouTube the whole time. Whenever I'm doing a live, I'm on YouTube, and that's where all of my lives are saved. Anyway, check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for 3 to 12-year-olds. You can look into coaching or our podcast. My daughter and I do it together because we work together. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast, and it's on all the platforms. We do 2 a week. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'm hopping over to Instagram now. Happy parenting. It's a lot of buttons. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I read your whole question here. This is on YouTube. It's Emma, the legend. It's about a 6-year-old who won't get in the car after swimming lessons. And you said that you've tried media, blackout, and everything. Okay, obviously that's not hurting enough. If he has siblings, what I would say is I'd say, I'll tell you what. You say when he won't, you're going to have to go through a rough day, by the way. It's not going to work the first time. So you're investing in tomorrow. So what you say is, I'll tell you what. The next time we go swimming, and if you don't get out and get in the car when you're told, there will be a consequence. And it's going to be a surprise. It's going to be something you don't like, but I won't tell you ahead of time. So anyway, when that happens, say, I'll tell you what, you didn't get out of the pool. So we're going to be taking your brothers or sisters or whoever out for a special treat tonight, donuts, or you can go do something, whatever. Just take them up for a special treat, but you're going to stay home with one of the parents. So they're going to miss out on a fun family night out, like just getting donuts or something. So yeah, just up it. That's all. Hi, Katie. Beautiful sunny day. Same here. This is Katie in Prince George, which is up north here in British Columbia, and I'm down south in Vancouver. So it's beautiful sunny in all of BC today, I think. I was out with my granddaughter, and it was a beautiful day and absolutely gorgeous. But it wasn't hot. It was just the most perfect day. And so, yeah, we spent a lot of time at the park. She's just a toddler. Okay. What can I do for a 4-year-old boy who doesn't want to potty train? Neither one or number 1 or 2. We use pull-ups and he doesn't take it seriously. He doesn't want to potty train. Now, he must be in preschool. He must be. He must be doing something outside of the home in kindergarten or preschool or something. Am I right? Is he still in pull-ups there? Yeah, I would want to know that. Yeah, he's not interested. I do have a potty training course, which you might want to look into. It's in both boot camp courses. You might want to check that out. But if you've got a 4-year-old, you want to get the 3 to 12-year-old one. It's got a bunch of other stuff, but it also has a potty training course. You might want to try that. Head Start. So he is in something, but out for summer. And yes, in pull-ups, but accidents. The problem is, yeah, he got accepted in pre-K, but needs to be potty trained. Of course he does. They're not going to change his pull-ups. Okay, so what you're going to say to him is, I'll tell you what, we're going to get you potty trained. You might want to look into my course. We're going to get you potty trained and bring a porta potty everywhere you go, by the way. And and then when we do, you might want to have incentive with that. He's 4 years old. I might make it something a bit bigger. We're going to use treats as we go along. I never discipline with potty stuff. But we're going to use, like, it's always incentive based with treats while we're potty training. But after that, I'd say, I'll tell you what, as soon as you're trained and we can get rid of the pull-ups, we're going to go do something special. It might be incentive enough. So yeah, I would use a little bit of leverage with that. A little bit of a bribe. You don't bribe to stop bad behavior, but you can bribe to get what you want sometimes, if that makes any sense. Not being potty trained is not bad behavior. It's a little bit different. Use incentive, use treats. I didn't introduce myself here yet, I don't think. Anyway, my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach because I hop around from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok. So I sometimes forget, did I do the outro and the intro? Anyway, my name's Lisa Bunnage. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my courses. I have one for toddlers, one for 3 to 12-year-olds. Those are my boot camp courses. You can look into coaching. It just opened up again today after a couple months of being shut down. I was just crazy busy. So it's open again if you're interested, or you can look into the podcast. My daughter and I do it together. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. We do 2 a week. We just filmed a couple today. We filmed one that I thought was great, but I kind of agree with my daughter. I can see what she said. Someone suggested that I ask the questions and she answer them just to see her perspective on answering questions. She's not a parent. She's not the coach. She doesn't like giving advice anyway. She loves the behind the scenes marketing and all the planning in the business. That's what she does. But we did it. And then she says she didn't want to post it. She doesn't like giving advice. She doesn't feel qualified to do so. And it was sort of, we knew that anyway. And I kind of fixed it up. And then I kind of add to what she'd said. Anyway, and she said she doesn't want to do that because she feels people tune into the podcast to get advice from the expert. And here she is, the non-expert, giving advice. So she said it's just kind of wasting their time. I thought it was funny. I probably would have posted it, but she makes all those decisions, so I can respect that. And she did really well. There was just a few things that I did tweak. Alicia says, I've never had any luck with pull-ups. I never used them on my kids because they were 2.5 when I potty trained them, and I got rid of, I never went to pull-ups ever, not at night or anything. I just fully potty trained them over a weekend. But I was already a leader. That's why it went so fast. But you might want to check out the course. Yeah, it is getting late for me. Thanks, Tabitha. I'm lousy at night. I'm having a hard time concentrating. I'm just not good at night. My brain shuts down. I mean, I got a pea-sized brain as it is, but yeah, I just not good at night. But I wanted to do a live today. I didn't get a chance to do one yesterday. I was just so busy. So okay. What happens when, I love this question. This is Higgins_Chelsea on Instagram. What happens when I remove the fun from my child? This would be as a discipline, right? And he says, that's okay. I didn't want to play with it anymore, Mom. He probably does. Just say, oh, good. Okay. That won't bother you. Just like he's probably calling it, like he's probably trying to, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. That kind of stuff. Just follow through anyway. Don't worry about what he says. Don't let him control the scene. Let you control it. Say, okay, that's good then. It won't bother you. Okay, my 3-year-old daughter only wants me to do everything over my husband. We really try not to give in, but it's so hard. I'll give you an example. My kids, I never let them control what was done, unless they were sick or something. That was different. If they wanted Mom when they were sick, they got Mom. But just generally day-to-day stuff, like if they wanted Mom and Dad was giving them a bath, and I heard they only did it, I think, once or twice. And I heard one of them say, I want Mom. And then I yelled out from the family room, well, you're stuck with Dad, so deal with it. Like, in other words, you're not going to control this. Dad's just fine. He can give you a bath. And then another time I heard that one of them say it, and he said, well, you're stuck with me, so deal with it. And they never complained again. So they'll survive. Two-year-old loses it when I try to dress him. Also won't put on jumpers or pants when it's cold. How do I approach? Put them on him anyway. He may end up with pants on his head and a shirt on his bottom. It doesn't matter. Just follow through and get him dressed. You have to physically overpower them sometimes because it's a necessity. He needs to be wearing clothes when he goes outside and it's cold. So just get him dressed anyway. I know it's going to be a battle, but and don't look annoyed. Don't talk to him while you're doing it. Once they've gone into that zone and they're fighting you, I don't talk. I just take action. And stay calm. Don't try and move too fast. Slow it down a little bit. Makes you look calmer. It's a psychological thing for yourself too. The more you rush, the more angry you tend to get. Oh, you asked about, you're an early childhood educator. You asked about classes. I don't teach teaching. I don't know anything about it. I only teach parent-child relationships because that's my specialty. I've never taught. I'm not a teacher. They're very different roles. A lot of my clients are educators, they're teachers, and they struggle with parenting also. It's personal. Parenting's a different role. I couldn't teach, and they often struggle with parenting too. Some stuff does cross over, but a lot doesn't. Because teaching is business and parenting is personal. It's just different. Oh, you're asking about overfeeding your child? I'm not a doctor or a nutritionist, so I cannot comment on that. Just so you know, I'm not qualified to discuss that. What should I do when my 6-year-old son repeating what he got positive consequence for while he's doing the consequence? Repeating what he got positive consequence. I don't quite know what you mean. Is he being cheeky? I would ignore any attitude. If that's what's happening, just ignore it. While he's doing the consequence and he's being cheeky, if that's what's happening, I'm not sure, just ignore it. You're just timing, because you always said, oh, you got 15 minutes to do this consequence. All you are is timekeeping. If they're being, it might not pertain to you because I might be interpreting your question wrong. But if anyone out there says, what about if they're giving me cheek the whole time they're doing it? I don't care. All I care about is them doing that consequence. Don't get sidetracked by their attitude. Their attitude is kind of none of your business. I never address attitude. There's no point. Their bad attitude is just your sign that you're not a leader yet. You got work to do on yourself. We're never fixing kids here. We're fixing and teaching parents. You lead, they will follow. They're drawn to a leader. They want to please a leader. And when they're teenagers, that you want them more to be their own leader and not want to disappoint you, and you want them to want to please themselves more. But you're still there for the big stuff. They still care what you think. If you're a leader. If you're not so much. I remember once someone asked me about my teenagers, and they said, my kids, and they said, well, you and your teenagers have such a great relationship. I was lucky. My kids are really, I would say, on the easy side. But, I work for that. But I don't think they were born particularly rambunctious or anything either. So I think I was lucky that way. But yeah, I said, well, and they asked me, what's the secret? How come your teenagers are so nice, right? And I said, we talk about everything. I was a really good listener. We had a lot of fun too. Humor is a big part of it, but we talked about everything. You want your kids to feel that they can tell you anything. You're a safe place to land. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. That was my favorite age, by the way. I loved it. And working with teenagers too. I was a teen mentor and I loved it. I just thought it was great. It was a challenge with the kids I was working with, for sure. Not my own kids, but with kids I was working with. I had to learn. I got a little bit of training, but I never used any of it. I figured it out my own style. Anyway, these are my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. Listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. It says paused because you weren't using the app. Just a sec here. Am I still on a live? On Instagram, it said paused because I wasn't using the app. I don't know. Anyway, okay. So my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will tune you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. They already know it anyway. Okay. And number 2 is you negotiate as much as possible with teenagers. It goes something like this. Hey, I want your dirty dishes in the dishwasher from now on. What do you want from me? Reciprocity. You're building mutual respect. You got to give to take. You can't just take. Everyone wants to get respect, but you got to give it first. That's why you're on the behavior board. If you're not on there, you're not a leader. You got to be accountable. Number 3, with teenagers, don't sweat the small stuff. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. They're allowed to make mistakes just like you did, just like you do. Okay. Number 4, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. A lot of parents do this. So when things are going better and your teenagers are actually talking to you, then you might want to discuss all the ways they've disappointed you. Huge mistake. They'll shut you down. So when do you discuss the bad times with your teenagers? Never. What's the point? What's the point? They already know. You already know. Don't dwell on it. Don't dwell on the negative with any kid. It doesn't matter what age. And number 5, you can be a right fighter or you can be happy with teenagers. I'll let you think about that one. That can go for any adult relationship too. You can be a right fighter or you can be happy. I'm pretty good with words. Um, I used to be a right fighter, and I'm pretty quick with words, and it is not an impressive quality to have. I'm more goofy and funny, but if pushed, I could be a right fighter when I was young. Not anymore. If someone says something stupid or insulting to me, and I just let it go. I don't say anything back. I let it go. That's their problem, not mine. Yeah, when I was younger, I think it's a young thing to do too. To try, if you know you're right, especially, it's very hard not to fight back. It takes a lot of strength not to. It took me 60 years or 50 years to figure that out. You're in the course, so you're in my boot camp course, 3 to 12-year-olds. Your 6-year-old gets it. Tantrums have stopped. My 8-year-old is not understanding. She can't process and forward plan. When she is being horrible, we focus on the 6-year-old and ignore the other. Yes? It depends on what she's doing. So you're saying that the 6-year-old's getting it and the 8-year-old isn't. And then you said, not understanding, though. That's what I don't get. Why are they not understanding it? What don't they understand? Or do they just not like it? Is a difference. She can't process and forward plan. That's okay. I think the behavior board will teach her to do that. Be careful not to ever show any anger, frustration, or disappointment with your kids. It's just going to get you the worst behavior because it brings out the worst in people. You always want kids to feel good about themselves. So I don't quite know why your 8-year-old isn't understanding it. But then you said when she is being horrible, we focus on the 6-year-old and ignore the other. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I don't quite know what she's doing. Like if she's being horrible, is it just her attitude? And also, do you play with her enough? Are you connected? Does she feel left out? Is the 6-year-old the easier one, so you tend to give them more attention? So yeah, I don't know. You want to make sure that you're connecting, because remember, connection is really what I focus on more than anything. Thank you for shading your wisdom. You mean sharing your wisdom. I was talking about wisdom with someone, I can't remember, and saying you can't get wisdom when you're young. I remember thinking I was pretty old for my age. I went through a lot when I was a kid. My dad had cancer I went through a lot when I was a kid. So I lost my childhood very young. And I thought I had wisdom. I always had a lot of common sense, for sure. I was always responsible. But wisdom, you got to get wrinkles. You can't have wisdom without wrinkles. It's because if you haven't lived it, you've seen it. If you have an open mind, you've been paying attention. But yeah, I do have some wisdom. As you get older, you just feel different. I think as you get older, you realize you really don't know anything. When you're young, you think you know a lot. As you get older, you realize you're just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much to learn out there about life and people and all that. So I think it's more of you learn that, wait a minute, I don't know anything. So you're more open-minded, more go with the flow. Okay. I'm surprised more people don't ask this. This is Jamie, and I'm always hoping people will. Jamie Ann, when you say not to discuss bad behavior with teenagers, how are we supposed to teach them without talking about it? They already know what bad behavior is. You don't need to discuss it. You deal with bad behavior, but you focus on the good kid. Focus on your positive relationship with your kids and your teenagers. You don't focus on the bad behavior. Discussing it is focusing on it. Where you put your focus, where you put your energy is what grows. You're just lecturing, and they don't need that. They already know what bad behavior is. Why do you need to discuss it? They already know. Parents always want to. We just did a podcast. Yeah, did we? Yeah, we did we filmed the podcast, and it came up in that one. And I think my daughter had asked the questions that you guys provide for the podcast. And it was something like, why don't we discuss bad behavior? And I said, and where does it come from? Why do parents always want to discuss bad behavior? I said, my response was, and you could argue this, I kind of still will stand by this. It's revenge. You feel kind of good doing it. Makes you feel better to get it out. But once I've educated you on the fact that there's no point in doing so, it'll just get the worst behavior, make them feel bad, then you have to admit it's just for you. So yeah, I think it's kind of revenge. You want to get it out. You want to let them know how much they've disappointed you. So yeah, you don't do that. There's no point. It'll just get you more of the same, or make them feel bad. If you just get good behavior, and if you're always discussing bad, because you're always discussing bad behavior and you're shaming them, you don't want to do that either. Okay. This is kind of a tricky one because it's a safety issue, but I'm just going to be very careful how I talk about this. I know what I'm thinking, but I'm going to be careful what I say. Climbing out of crib, but too young to have free autonomy in his room unsupervised. Can open door by himself and will have access to whole house. Now, if he can climb out of a crib, this is what I did with my kids. When they both did that, they both hit the floor once, and that was it. I disassembled the whole crib and just put a mattress on the floor. Their bedroom was completely child-proofed. I mean, there was nothing that they couldn't touch. Okay, I was very careful. I bolted everything to the walls. It was very, very, very safe. And they weren't precocious kids anyway. But if they were, and if they could get out of their room, I would just put a bell on the door so I would hear them come out. So yeah, you might want to think about that. It's a safety issue. I would rather them walk around a safe room and put a bell on the door than have them falling out of the crib. That's dangerous. What if they fell on their head? Good question. I don't know his age, but I'm going to answer this anyway. I'm assuming he is 3 and above. That's what I'm going to assume. He gets a consequence because of saying bad words and repeating same words while doing that consequence. Should I repeat the consequence? Very good question. And it's a funny one because they will do that. So let's say he's saying a bad word and then he gets a consequence and he has to clean something. After he's finished that, you know what I would do? Depending on the age, if he's, let's say, 5 and over, if he's 3 or 4, I would just let it go. But if he's, let's say, 5 or over, he's a little bit more cluey in what he's trying to do. He's trying to annoy the heck out of you. So I would say, I'll tell you what, you got the consequence because you said a bad word, but then you kept saying it. So now, even though we already did the first consequence, there's always 2 consequences for kids. Positive action. If they won't do that, then you do the negative deprivation. But what I would do in this situation, if he's 5 and above, I would say, I'll tell you what, you did the consequence for saying a bad word, but then you kept saying the bad word. So we're going to do 24-hour media blackout. I would go right to the second consequence. It's going to be a really rough 24 hours, but that's okay. Remember, you always want to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. You got to prove to them that you can follow through no matter how awful they are. If they're swearing for that whole 24 hours, I would just say, well, that's why you've got media blackout. You see? So you've already gone to you don't double it. You just do 24-hour media blackout. If that's your second consequence. Okay, you heard the alarm. That means I've got to go over to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, it's BratBusters Parenting. If not, check out my website. It's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for 3 to 12-year-olds. You can look into coaching or our podcast. My daughter and I do it together. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast, and we do it twice a week. It's on all the platforms. Check out my website. Also, the podcast is filmed. So if you want to see the podcast, you can watch us on YouTube. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'm hopping over to TikTok, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Bye now. I'm getting tired. I'm just no good at night. I can feel my head's all becoming mush. I was always a morning person. They say you're born that way. You're either born a night person or a morning person, or neither, I guess. I've always been a morning person.